What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Pumpkin Patch. This is your host, Rikk R Treat. How's everyone doing? Good to see you. Good to see you. I haven't seen you yet. Thanks for coming. So today on the Pumpkin Patch, I was actually going to do a similar video to my friend and HPUSA affiliate, Nikky Casket, where he did a video describing or talking about his top 10 favorite non-horror punk bands. So I went ahead and tried to do the same, and let me tell you, man, it's not that easy coming up with 10 favorite bands. I do have a lot of bands that I enjoy in different genres, but seeing that I have been a lot more involved in horror punk for quite some time now, it was a little bit hard to kind of weed those bands out. But for all of you guys, I totally did it, and I got a list. Yay! Before that, I would like to share a little bit about what's going on with me, a little check-in update, and we can get right into it. So, as I had mentioned in my last video, I have moved. I'm living back in San Diego, and things are going pretty well. The Writhers are officially starting to play shows next week. We're going to be playing a backyard gig in LA on the 3rd. We have another backyard gig in Riverside on the 10th, and we have a show in Vegas, our first show in Vegas, scheduled on the 16th. It's a Friday. And we have a show in Glendale on the following day, which is Saturday. Following week, we have something in Maywood, which is also part of LA. And then on the 24th, we have a show here in San Diego. So it'll be our first home show on the 24th. If any of you who are watching are Vegas or California, Southern California residents, would love for you to come out. I'm definitely going to play my hardest for these shows. Having gone a year and more without being able to play, I'm going to try and go hard, right? Please make sure to check us out on Instagram at The Writhers, and hopefully we'll have some info for you soon. Before I get started with my list, I want you guys to go ahead and please hit that notification bell and subscribe to HPUSA TV if you don't already. Please share this video with your friends. Please share my friends' videos with your friends. We do put a lot of work into making these videos, making daily content for all of you, and we hope you enjoy it. All right, with that being said, now is time for my top 10 favorite non-horror punk bands. All right, so in the same way that Nikky Casket did it, I'm going to start from 10 and go all the way to 1. His list was in no particular order. Mine goes from 10 to 4 in no particular order, but my top 3 is definitely my favorite top 3 bands of all time in that order. All right, so number 10, Scary Kids Scaring Kids. So for those of you who may know me, outside of Horror Punks USA TV, I actually really got into music with post-hardcore, or what some people would call screamo, and this band fits that sort of experience a little bit. I've always enjoyed seeing them live. When I got to see them in high school, their keyboardist, he would climb up to the very large amps at Soma and perform up there. I don't remember if he jumped off or not. This was many years ago, but I always thought that was really cool. They had a really good stage presence. Like I said, they're in that post-hardcore genre, and it's cool because despite having lost their original frontman, They, rest in peace, Tyson. They have been touring recently with the one of the singers of Seosin to tour on their first album, or their main album, The City Sleeps in Flames. So I definitely appreciate that and love getting to see them again. Number 9, it is Emure. So again, back into the time vault of MySpace, metalcore, deathcore. For high school Rikk, this was probably the top band to come out at that time. They are really cool because they mix that heavy, deathcore stuff with nu metal. And as you'll see by some of the other bands on my list, very heavily influenced by nu metal. Fred Durst, Limp Bizkit vibe going on, larger than life persona, which can be annoying, but I think it works for them and definitely gives them that notoriety. And again, a lot of heavy stuff. They get critiqued a lot for just ones and zeros, but I don't care. I appreciate it. It sounds cool to me. So yeah, definitely on my top 10. All right, this one might be a curveball in the rest of the bands, but again, if you know me, this shouldn't be of any surprise. My number 8 is Savage Garden. Yeah, I like pop music, as much as I do enjoy punk rock and all the subsequent genres. I do actually really enjoy pop music, and Savage Garden's probably one of my favorite pop groups. I remember listening to them as a kid, and I believe my older sister had the Affirmation album. Just really appreciate it, really nice, like pretty romantic pop music. I would definitely shell out some money to try and see them live if they ever got back together. That would be cool. All right, next up on my list is a very cool straight edge hardcore band called Project X. Unfortunately, they only put out one EP. It was like 4 or 5 songs, but Straight Edge Revenge fucking slaps. Definitely one of the coolest straight edge hardcore band songs ever, period, in my opinion. EP, and it's only a few songs. If you haven't heard it before, what are you waiting for? Pause this video and go do it right now. Another group that I think is really important to me, so they are my number 6, is Cyclone 9. They actually were the bridge for me to get from deathcore, metalcore, hardcore, all that, to industrial goth and eventually horror punk. While I knew horror punk bands before that, I think listening to them, because they're an industrial group, listening to their album We the Fallen, and I think there was another one, I don't remember the name right now, Crown Thy Fornicator. Those 2 albums really got me more into industrial. I actually was trying to go through a Rivet Head phase. It just didn't really work out because all the gear is super expensive. But that got me into looking for an industrial band to play in when I was in between bands, and eventually I found They Feed at Night that way. Albeit that's not an industrial group, but that's what got me into the goth scene, actually. So I do feel like I owe a lot to Cyclone 9, and yeah, dude, all those albums are super heavy. Even just their first album, where it's like really dancey, electronic, aggro tech stuff, it's still really good. So if you're into aggro tech and industrial, dance beats with black metal vocals over it, definitely check out Cyclone 9. So with my number 5, this is actually probably one of the coolest bands that I've gotten to see live, because they broke up many years ago and then they got back together for like a reunion tour. Have Heart. They're another one of my favorites, straight edge hardcore bands. They're great. They have an album called Songs to Scream at the Sun. It's probably one of my top 10 albums of all time. It's just really good. That one's a little bit more melodic, but really good straight edge hardcore. Again, with them particularly, not all of it's super in your face straight edge, which is cool for some people who aren't, right? But I really appreciate them. They did something, I think, with hardcore at least for me, that hit differently and really sounded different than some of the other hardcore bands that I'd heard at the time. My next band on this list, number 4, is actually, aside from Project X, so even maybe a little bit more than them, my favorite youth crew hardcore band, Gorilla Biscuits. Start Today is actually probably, again, in my top 10 favorite albums of all time, period. Would like to get the words Start Today tattooed somewhere. I actually feel like that has a lot to do with me, you know, being a therapist, right? Doing a lot more, trying to be a lot more positive, things like that. Like, that album definitely influences me as a person. And I feel like that concept of let's start today, right? No time like the present, basically, to try and better ourselves, hopefully better the world, right? I feel like if for any of you guys who aren't familiar with like straight edge hardcore youth crew stuff, I feel like that's always been one of the cool positive messages that I've understood from the music is let's get out there and help other people. All right, guys, so now we're actually getting into my top 3. These bands are the ones that I think are in this order. Without further ado, let's say number 3, Linkin Park. Dude, how many people my age were not into Linkin Park, right? I got the Hybrid Theory tattoo. That band, that album actually got me into rock music. I think some of the stuff I was listening to beforehand was a little bit more electronic, techno, pop at the time. Who knows, if I didn't listen to Linkin Park, I'd be a rave kid right now or something, right? My life would be completely different without Linkin Park. So I definitely feel like I owe that album a lot. And, you know, seeing them progress, yeah, at times was a little bit difficult, right? Because they didn't end up doing a little bit more pop stuff. But now as an adult that I'm listening to it, I really enjoy it, right? I'm still super bummed out that Chester's gone. Rest in peace. And, you know, everything that they have put out has been a masterpiece. And, yeah, I don't think I'd be the same person without Linkin Park. All right, top 2. Again, this should not be a surprise. Just given the things that I talk about and things that I post, my number 2 band is AFI. I've been listening to AFI since I was a senior in high school. Got into them a little late. When I was in middle school, I remember they put out December Underground, and Miss Murder was the single that came out. Yeah, I like that stuff, but I didn't really get into them until I heard the All Hallows EP, which I think is horror punk, so I'm not going to talk much about it. But my favorite AFI album is Shut Your Mouth, Open Your Eyes. That's like one of the best punk albums ever. I don't care what you say, that's one of the best punk albums ever. Period. Underrated album. Davey's vocals are just fierce. That's the first album with Hunter on it. His bass lines are ridiculous. Adam is a very underrated drummer. I have no idea who the guitarist was because I'm a terrible fan. But I just really, I enjoyed that album a lot. And I think, you know, a lot of people give them a lot of, you know, flack for changing their styles. But to be honest, I think, you know, what band hasn't changed their style? What successful band hasn't changed their style, you know, at least a little bit? And I think they do it really well. You know, they've ranged from hardcore punk to like what I'd call like arena goth to like just being a little bit more post-punk in their more later albums. And I still think they're doing it really well. I know a lot of people did not like their most recent album, but I don't care. I did. I was about it. I think a lot of people just turn on their old stuff. You know, that stuff's still good. You can still do that. So, yeah, top number 2, AFI. Also, Davey Havok is the GOAT. So, yeah. Number 1. Drum roll, please. From Autumn to Ashes. No question about it. Not very many people know about them. The people that do end up being people who start bands. And my favorite band since like 6th grade, 7th grade. I've been lucky enough to see them 3 times. Yeah, it's just been amazing. Their album, The Fiction We Live, is my top favorite album ever. I don't even know what to say. They're a metalcore band. I'd consider them like metalcore, post-hardcore. Something that's been really cool to me about them is when I first listened to them, they had 2 vocalists. They had the vocalist, screamer, and they had the drummer, who was the singer. And as a drummer myself, listening to that before I got interested in drums, I always thought that was so cool. You know, like someone being able to play at the same time as singing, right? And be all intricate. Fran Mark is my favorite drummer, and he's the singer now, right? I just think the things that they do, the stuff that they've put out, they mix together the heavy with the melodic really well, the clean vocals, the harsh vocals, right? They just do it. They do it perfectly. They're my favorite band. They have been for a long time. I'm stoked that they're at least playing shows again, because they broke up for a little while. They're at least playing shows again. I won't be able to see them at Furnace Fest. I'm not going all the way to Kansas or whatever. But I'm hoping that means that they'll come back to California and do it over here as well. Hopefully they'll put out a new album. That would definitely make my day. If you don't know them, I strongly recommend checking them out. I would say The Fiction We Live is probably the best place to start. I definitely put my Rikk R Treat stamp of approval, just because they're phenomenal. So yeah, that's my number one. What do you guys think? Have you heard these bands? If so, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. I would like to know your take on my list, and what about yours? What's your list? What's your top 10? Yeah, so like I said, this was my top 10 non-horror punk bands, and I hope you enjoyed it. Like I said before, definitely check these bands out, and I hope that you like, comment, let's have a conversation, and subscribe to HPUSA TV, and I'll see you guys on the Pumpkin Patch next time.
Working extra hard just to make my way, dying inside a little bit a day, looking to the point that I